Hi guys, this is Dr. Sadasivam once again with you. And in today's video, we are going to talk about some of the important excerpts from the interview of K. Balakumar, a well-known sports commentator and a very well-known commentator in Tamil Nadu who was interviewed by a famous Tamil channel. This was in Tamil, and for the benefit of people who cannot understand Tamil, I'm going to provide some of the excerpts from that interview. And this interview, he talks about three important sports. He talks about golf, women's hockey, and wrestling. In fact, before we talk about this, we get into the analysis of the sport. We would like to spend a few minutes in terms of who he is, what inspired him, etc. etc. Every one of us as Indians, we play, we study, we play the game, some game, develop little bit of interest in it, and over a period of time, there are certain limits in terms of how much you can go. So after a certain level, we start watching sports, discussing, debating with friends, right? In this particular case, he feels so proud that he's being paid for watching, and that was how he took sports commentary as his profession. He claims that his personal philosophy is sports, and for that he brings the example of Swami Vivekananda, right? And he quotes one of his famous quotes, which Vivekananda says that his way to God is more through football than through Bhagavad Gita, right? That's what Swami Vivekananda says. And Balakumar draws inspiration from Swami Vivekananda, and he looks at sports as a spiritual tool, and he reinforces that concept by what is written in Wimbledon, right? It's a poem called as If, written by Richard Kipling, and that's what he quotes in his interview. And the main essence of that poem is victory and defeat. Both of them needs to be seen in the same manner, and both of them are imposters. And that's what he talks about, guys. They both need to be seen in the same perspective. Not that you will be too happy with victory or you are too disheartened at defeat, because both are imposters and they can fool you all the time, right? If there is a need, I will come out with a separate video on this particular poem, and that has, inspired me a lot. I'm a trainer. So before we dive into the game, we will talk about the golf game, where he talks about Aditi. In fact, he says that it is a very, very important day in the entire history of Indian sports, because the name of KL Ratna has been changed in the name of a sports legend, right? Diachin. And he also talks about Aditi's game, excellent game. Of course, the debut was in the year 2016 in the Rio Games, and she just qualified, barely qualified, and I think that was, very young at that point of time. And in fact, she's a 87 born girl, and even now she's just 23 years old. And in fact, there are lots and lots of doubts about her participation in the event in the first place, because she was affected by COVID and she had to fight that COVID out, and because this game requires a lot of mental resilience, physical toughness, etc. You have, for example, a tee shot, because a tee shot means it's a distant shot. It calls for the highest amount of pressure. But all of us know how much COVID takes a toll on your health, right? On your physical well-being. All of which are extremely important. And in spite of that, she has shown amazing consistency in the game. In fact, she hit 4 birdies, right? Birdie is one shot less. Not 4, 5 birdies she did. And she did 2 bogeys, which is one more. We're not getting too much into the technical aspects of this game, right? So we will look at what is happening behind the screen. Not only she is young, she's 87 born, she must be 22, 23 years old. And it's not the age we are talking about, also her own mother who accompanied her to the Olympics. Look at the amount of moral support. Her mother was her caddy to pick up ball and other stuff in the golf course. In fact, if you look at the first 2 days, she did play well, of course. She did reasonably a good performance, so to say. But the question in everybody's mind was, will she be consistent? Will she at least be able to get an award? That was the question in everybody's minds, and your mindset, your physical mindset will decide if you will be able to come out successfully or not. But she has realized met all our expectations. We're not going to talk about women's hockey. They've put up, she's done a great job before we get into women's hockey, but let's many times results are not in our hands. As regards women's hockey, that was when we wrote them off at one point of time. But they bounced back, especially with England. Almost they lost a game. Of course, the score of 4-3. Great Britain was a pulsating match. And that was part of that bounce back. Usually, when they trail from 0-2 in the beginning and they lost couple of matches during the beginning, it was a very worrisome kind of a situation. It also reduces the morale of your entire team. But we also need to remember that these matches are replete with emotions, right? Because every sportsman plays for pride, if not the medals, right? In fact, especially when the possibilities of winning a medal is remote, they play for pride, because what will the country think of them? That's something which is always in their thoughts. Not only they came back from 0-2 to equalizing the whole thing, but they went 3-2 up. It's a kind of absolutely a stunning performance, guys. And if you look in the past, right, in the last 3 matches, Netherlands, Germany, Great Britain, right, they won Ireland, guys. After that, they did it quite well. South Africa was another country. If you look at the whole, series, it started, you can talk about Vandana Kataria. She played extremely well, guys. In fact, she is the first ever Indian woman to score a hat-trick, right? And the best part of that, bet Australia in the quarterfinals, guys. One of the top in the world, top 3 rankings. She bet Australia. That's what I mean, right? By any stretch of imagination, it was a great feat. In fact, as regards the Indian hockey, the men's team was the one always we had, because they had won so many gold medals in the international Olympics. But women's, absolutely nothing to write home about, right? Never in the past, It was, I think, the debut was in 1980 at Moscow. And then I think barely they qualified in the women's hockey. And after a very long gap, as recently as 2016, they participated in Rio 2016 in performance. They finished last. We lost all the matches very badly. But losing is not important, guys. Especially in the last 4 years, they struggled, guys. They didn't stop. That's probably one of the reasons they have reached where they have reached. And now everything is an open book. You can refer that book as much as you want. In fact, if you remember the Rio Games in 2016, one of the players who was Vandana, who was the star of today's match, guys, of course, we have to give credit to the other players also. But of course, it's a matter of, certain things have happened around her, in her house. It's all a matter of shame. And I think it's not good for us to, go too much to it, to get demoralized. But yes, also, we won't be doing justice if we don't talk about one person. We're talking about Punya. She's been there since long, especially in the game of hockey. And to some extent, we can compare her with Srijas in men's hockey, guys. In fact, that guy used to be called as the Great Wall of India, right? In my opinion, he is one who deserves, not in my opinion, the commentators and the world's opinion. He feels that you can consider her equal to him, especially in matters of consistency. That's what he put up, her extreme, stunning performance. There's no doubt about that. She stopped 11 shots, guys. 11 shots we are talking about. That's how the game is. And from Savita Punya, we are now going to shift our discussions to another Punya. And this time it is Bajrang Punya. Jai Bajrang Punya. He lost the semi-finals match to Azerbaijan. Haji Ali, right? Look at it. He did well on the floor. There's no doubt about it. But he is suffering the same issue that many of our Indian wrestlers are suffering. In fact, he was not physically in the best of his form. In fact, he was limping when he was coming out, guys. Don't also forget the fact that Haji is a world champion. So looking at his physical state, probably many might have guessed that his chance of winning Haji was less. In fact, right from the beginning of that match, in fact, we were talking about that match with Haji right from the beginning in the eyes of a wrestling commentator. He was barely, wrestling is a physical game and it requires enormous mental strength, enormous physical strength. It is not just enough, you are fit. You need to be completely fit. Your shape and form has to be extremely perfect. It has to be complete. Of course, mental resilience is also important. We all know, being a physical game, every time you get into the ring, you come out with an injury. Every wrestler is aware of this fact. Every wrestler will carry an injury. That is inevitable. But sometimes certain people overcome that, and certain times it hampers your own chances for winning, and it's a matter of great happiness that we have won a match with Daulat of Kazakhstan, right? In fact, Punya lost this match with this guy 2 years back. But I think 2 months back, there was another match where I think he won him. One thing good about Indian wrestlers is they're mentally very strong, guys. Don't forget the fact that we are from the land of Mahabharata. Jai Bajrangapali or Bhim, right? In fact, for the last 15 or 16 years, we are on the path of coming to the world stage. We've already come on the world stage. Something that we should be extremely proud of. In fact, Dahiya, he won a silver. But except for few people who follow this particular sport very closely, not many were aware of this particular sportsman. So the exposure is important, publicity is important, public has to cooperate, the government has to cooperate, and I think we have a long way to go, especially in the field of sports and especially the ambitions. Of course, all the good things that is happening around the country, I think there is a much more long way to go, and we can hope to be a much greater winner in Olympics next time. Okay guys, this is Dr. Sadasivam signing off, and these are excerpts from the interview of Balakumar, a sports commentator in a Tamil channel. Okay guys, this is Dr. Sadasivam signing off. Till we meet again, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Jai Hind. Bye bye.